Welcome to LC Africa, the Content Factory. This morning, yet again, we come back with our weekly dose of the sense and noise, the media roundtable, hosting my colleagues in the media industry, Tamale Raymond from NTV and a company, TV under NMG, and also Ivan Kawa reports from Uganda Broadcasting Corporation. But before they introduce themselves, let us first have a commercial break from our sponsors, Maganjo Grain Millers.
Mutindo ogusukkulumye engano ya Nations. Mu mutima gwa Uganda mulimu ekimera ekyenjawulo era nga kijiddwamu omutindo ogusukkulumye. Engano ya Jiko nga ekolebwa ab'Amaganjo Grain Millers. Kola ebyokulya eby'omu Nations.
2026, we host the distinguished gentlemen in the media industry, seasoned journalists, and I would like each of them to first introduce themselves, and then we'll look into the Labor Day message from each one of them, because the media is part of the Labor Day broader landscape. Raymond, good morning.
Good morning to all our viewers who are watching LC Africa this morning. This is Sense and Noise back again, part 2. Today is Labor Day, and I want to congratulate everyone who has something they are doing, no matter how small it is, even if it's in the informal sector. What matters is you having something that you can put on the table to earn a living. Though, on this side of the media landscape, things are not good. Reason being that many of our colleagues who work in different media houses are not being paid time. Some are not even being paid at all. They use their own personal equipment and they are given money to go to the field, but they are not facilitated for the stories they work for. In that someone gets, the reason why you see a lot of people going to the field and asking for kintu kidogo is because they find life so hard out there. And they believe that when they get something from a source, maybe life can move on, which is really destroying our profession, because at the end of the day, when someone is giving money to a source, when a source is giving money to a reporter, they aggregate all of us as people who are looking for money to earn a living, but it is not the case. But anyhow, the media will still foster and we shall still be here to tell the stories, even when the darkest times come in.
Ivan, can you say hello to our viewers that are following?
Ivan Kawa reports, good morning to you, whoever is watching LC Africa, and I'm glad and happy to appear for the second edition of this specific talk show. Now, with the labor issues, you see, whenever we celebrate workers, you celebrate labor, there are certain things we need to ask ourselves. What are we celebrating when we have this kind of day? Which people are we celebrating? Are we celebrating the informal sector? Are we celebrating the formal sector? But to me, I think there are quite a number of people that we need to celebrate who are apparently working in very harsh conditions. The host here comes from Kasese. You know what happens in the mining areas. You go to the Salt Lake. People have lost their limbs, they have lost their hands. You know, there is no mechanism to support them on how they can, you know, they can do the work without endangering their bodies. Yeah? And these are the things. The person in Kasese, for example, that woman who is in the mining field, the Salt Lake, there's nothing going to tell her if they are still wearing condoms, you know, in the hands to extract salt. This is the reality happening in Kasese. What is the plight of those people? You have that factory, the salt factory that has been defunct since the 70s when Idi Amin Dada was still president. The asbestos is affecting the lives of people. Now that is technically science, construction, endangering the environment, you know. So these are the things I feel that the country needs to reflect on. And it's not only in Kasese. If you go even to Kabale, there are very many extraction sites, and even the people who deal in sand mining in whatever places they go to. So you have a cross-section of people who contribute vehemently to the economy of this country, but their working conditions are apparently not still good. And there is always that scapegoat that, you know, these people are informal and something like that. But I think it's the mandate and the role of the government to ensure that whoever is operating in this country is working in conditions that are respectable.
Now let us come back now to the media, because you are under the media industry. You have had your colleagues at several stations, being that, let me first come back to Raymond. Raymond, there is a story that has been running for quite several years that the media, some media stations do not pay at all their workers. They go for a year without paying their workers.
It is true, and it's really, really going on across different media houses. Initially, this would not be here if there was still a minimum wage, whereby you know how much you're supposed to earn as an individual for the time you put in. Away from the minimum wage, like they say, a country like Uganda is putting out very many graduates on a daily basis from different universities who have done mass comm, and they're really good in their craft. Some of them have even gone to the media lab, media challenge, to really make them more skilled for the jobs that are in the market to be better. Camera operators, reporters, video editors, and all that. You see, someone wakes up in the morning, applies for a job. The first 2 months they are paid on time, and the rest of the months, the producer or the person who hired the person tells the reporter that, you know what, things are not doing well. The money is not coming in, the inflow. But remember, in every business, there are hazards, and you're supposed to have that stipend of money on the side in case whereby maybe you can give them a half, but some people go home without even anything at all at the end of the month, and it's really bad. Reason being, such people, when they get opportunities to go to, maybe they get a PR job, are the same people whereby if they assign a job to handle maybe Tamala and Kahawa, and they're going to cover a press conference, and they're given money to give to journalists for covering that, they will not give you the money. Because now they feel like this is the time to pay back.
Most of these media houses that don't pay on time are faith-based.
Yeah, they are faith-based, but also the media houses that are owned by individuals.
I wanted to pick a comment from you specifically about that before
You see, journalists have failed to tell their story. I'm a journalist. First of all, when you see the framework of the bodies that govern this profession, Uganda Journalism Association, the freelancers or whatever, the Media Council, you have the Editors Guild, you have the Ministry.
You have UJA.
So you find that the enforcement bodies, like UCC, Media Council, are very active, so pretending over a very confused profession of journalists. But for them, they are very active. When you make a comment that is sensational, they pick you.
They grab you.
They grab you. It is at that point they realize, journalism become, but they are even us who are professional journalists by virtue that we went and studied journalism. We even have operational certificates doing that job. But the space has been infiltrated by a number of people. And then the liberalization of media. I think they need to increase the requirements or make them tougher for one to operate a TV station or radio station. They should make it like a bank where you have the deposit protection fund. In case a bank fails or runs out of business, at least they can compensate the customers in that bank. So in the media, it should be done so that for anyone to start a media house, for example, you've echoed out the faith-based institutions that fail to pay media professionals, that they have to demonstrate that they have capacity to pay salaries for this number of journalists. But the question is, Is everyone operating a camera in a faith-based institution a journalist? These are the questions we need to ask. So some people will claim...
Does that mean that if they are not professionals, they shouldn't be paid on
No,
time?
you don't have a right to complain in a space where you don't belong, okay? It's like waking up one day because you've learned some legal terms and then you're claiming simply because you're discussing law. Like for me as an individual, I have a right to talk about the low remuneration of journalists in this country. And there are people who would raise that issue and then it's understandable. However, it is not good manners, for example, to not to pay people under the terms you've prescribed, because I've also served in church regarding the aspect of filming and something like that. But when you look at my mindset when I was operating while in church, it was more journalistic than Katonda Jakumpa. You get? So that's the difference. True. But now you have people who operate cameras and they're like, Mukama ya Polachi. So I think it has something to do with the mindset. But wholesomely, the fact that this institution is called LC Africa, it is faith-based, but it is a television station. It means you are dealing with journalists. And the operation is they think when you're recruiting, you are actually recruiting journalists. So under circumstances where you recruit a taxi driver because he knows how to operate a camera and something like that, and then they complain that they're not paid, it's really very dangerous. But conclusively, we have a friend who joined us at UBC. She worked at a certain TV station, a vibrant pastor. This lady was not paid for about 7 months, okay? She decided to disappear. Then she came and, joined us. And when they give you the reasons as to why they are not being paid, you realize that it's not really good taste for many of the people operating there. But seriously, for the journalists, far I know quite it is.
Well, last week we had a discussion about the Okello Onyum trial. And we have been following up on that. And yesterday, there was a landmark judgment by the presiding judge who sentenced Okello Onyum to death. I want to have a submission from each one of you, starting with Raymond, and then come to Kawa, who has been covering this story for quite a long time.
The front page of the document has go and hang, and there is a rope, and Okello is looking at this rope and saying, wow. Very nice picture, by the way. Very attractive that you have to buy the Daily Monitor of today and read it. But all in all is one.
Isn't that an advert?
No, it's not an advert. I work for Nation Media Group, so I have to speak about my brands.
Oh, okay, please.
Another thing also is that I saw a video yesterday on one of on the social media handles of X, whereby people are celebrating after the judgment that Okello is going to be hanged. And there was a contention, I think even Kahawa has been reading about it, a contention on X, whereby people are saying, it is okay that the judge has set Okello to be hanged, but when did the Kalaba last work in Uganda? And they said last worked in 1998?
Around that time.
Funny enough that the last person they hanged in Uganda was on the same date that they set Okello for yesterday, 30th. 1998. And everyone was saying, is it still applicable in the country, like Uganda? And they were saying it's not applicable. So I'm asking myself, and that's why Kahawa maybe will guide me, because I've not been covering this case so well, and I'm not really conversant with the legal perspective. If you wake up in the morning and say Okello should be hanged, how is it going to be feasible enough that it's going to be hanged and it will be applicable? And also, if Okello takes that stand and is hanged, should we expect more people who commit capital offenses to be hanged in this manner? Yes or no? But also another thing also is that the courts of law have this time around, you can say that they are holding the flag. They have held the flag of Uganda so high that they have done justice, that people are celebrating yesterday in Gavan saying, hey, oh, our judge, thank you so much. But remember, okay, it's good to celebrate and all this, but what about other cases in the judicial system? Why can't you do the same? Every day we have new judges appointed to the Justice Ministry. And one thing that comes out from every judge, and Kawa can attest to, is backlog. So if you can have community courts move to different areas, and which has been only applicable to the army, if you can also do it in our judicial system of Uganda, Why not now?
Do you envisage Okello giving an appeal because the judge was saying Okello has a chance to appeal in 14 days.
He has a right.
He has a right to appeal in
The worst,
in 14
the worst
days.
of it was when the judge asked Okello, "Do you want to apologize for your offense?" And said, my lord, I have nothing to say. I have
I
nothing to
cannot
say.
apologize.
Yeah, he said,
When he
said,
says I have nothing to say,
I have nothing to say.
Ideally, he's saying I cannot apologize.
That is your
That's
that is your
interpretation.
Start from there. Start from there.
Because he said, I don't want, I have nothing to say. He said, my lord, I
Start
have
from
nothing to say.
there. Before you start, Josephine said, and if I can quote her, said there is something behind this Okello person, and Okello was saying that there are certain figures that were pushing him to do that thing,
You see,
and he didn't mention the names.
you see, first of all, this case was very interesting, and it is one of the references for even the journalists, even the legal fraternity. This is a case that we are going to refer to in many years to come, when we are also in our 50s and 60s, when they are dealing with similar cases. A lot of things we have learned from that case. Now, first of all, let's look at how the judge came to the conclusion of giving that sentence. She ably demonstrated each and everything. And if you are following keenly, you would look for where the loophole is regarding when she was going to give her judgment. You'd realize there is none. But what took my attention was when she audited the lifestyle of Onyum before even the judgment. And she was even giving you the possibilities that had Okello presented witnesses like the mom, the dad, who are still alive and living in Kampala, probably they would have told us the mental history of their son as the key witnesses. But even these were not witnesses in that specific case. Katibino Bemogama nti Okello was being surveilled by unknown people. Even the judge hinted on it, said Okello decided to withhold mentioning the names of these people he called friends. And you know, with the court, they don't work on assumptions. What you present is that.
It's what they take.
Then remember, even at the time of giving the defense, he decided not to take an oath. That's why he had to tell his own story. But I believe that had Okello accepted to take an oath and then being led by the lawyer, I think the case might have turned out differently. But the fact that he really had to, to defend himself in that regard is one of the things you can look at and say maybe it also affected, the outcome in its own sense. Now, the issue of death sentence, at least to the best of my knowledge, during my tenure in the years I've lived on earth, this is the first case that I have personally witnessed. Others might have been there, but probably maybe I was still young or something like that. But at least I've read about that case of Susan Chigula, who had been sentenced to death, and then she appealed. That's when the Supreme Court had to amend the circumstances under which someone can be sentenced to death. Okay? And that's what they are using to guide. It's part of...
That's why they gave Okello a leeway to appeal.
It's part of that informed the decisions of this court. Now, I think the people who are watching us are asking, when Bagenda Mutugadi, Bagenda Kolachi. The thing is, he was sentenced to death. That's what the trial judge said. They didn't specify how he will be executed, whether by firing squad, whether by hanging, whether by injection or something like that. That is for later. Now, within the 14 days, he has to appeal. Okay? If he appeals, then the process, until the process is done, they appeal.
I think he has to appeal in a higher court, right?
Court of appeal.
Yeah.
He has to go to the court of appeal.
I meant higher court than the high court that tried him.
Absolutely, yes. So now, until that process is done, that's when we shall know how the execution will be done. Now, what would be the role of the President of the Republic of Uganda in this entire equation? You know, you have a committee on the prerogative of mercy. The President is the only person who can forgive, what they call pardon. or even advise to give you a lenient, sentence. But let's debunk the aspect where people are saying that it is the president who is supposed to sign and endorse that let an individual be killed. No, that's not. I've not read it anywhere in the laws of Uganda. But what I know is Ogamba Mnai. On the advice of the committee, he doesn't do it.
So, in assumption that Okello doesn't appeal after 14 days, he would be heading to death.
For me, it is his right to appeal.
I mean, if he doesn't,
to appeal.
If he doesn't, what does the law say?
Hypothetically speaking, he has to appeal. He will appeal.
Absolutely, he's going to appeal. And you know what is interesting with these cases? An individual who clearly knew that he committed a crime, in the first place, pleaded not guilty. And then let's even talk about the silence. When he was like, I don't have anything to say. You know, when you go to the Court of Appeal, sometimes what you say at the conclusion can
affect you.
Referred to while you're in the Court of Appeal. That, okay, apparently, when the judge gave you the opportunity to speak, you were remorseful, you sought for forgiveness, and something like that. So that was a technical, stance regarding where they are headed.
To keep his silence.
Where they. So the Court of, in my own view, when you look at how the judgment was presented and all the evidence, this is the first case I've witnessed where the prowess of the government institutions have given it all to 99.9%, including the forensics. Actually, I'm looking more of the forensics, how science was used to solve this case, where you even had physical evidence like camera, eyewitnesses, but now the aspect of the forensics. So it was proved beyond reasonable doubt.
So we can say that it was a fair hearing.
Constitutionally, it was a fair hearing.
Okay.
But now these are statements you can't tell a person who lost their... However,
no, the people who lost may their souls rest in peace, but they got justice. They said that they wanted Okello to be sentenced to death, and indeed that's what they did.
This case teaches us that we shouldn't opt for mob justice. Why? Had people lynched this man to death, they would have been happy. But they wouldn't have learned the importance of keeping receipts. They wouldn't have learned the importance of keeping records. They wouldn't have learned how you can be part of the case, like the one of Okello. They wouldn't have learned how the court proceedings, what entails a capital offense. They wouldn't have learned what happens in the temples of justice. Okay?
Response from me. Well, I can authoritatively say that I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. I believe that people can sin and can be forgiven. So when I go into that lane, I don't believe that sentencing someone to death is
my brother.
Do you
know why that lady was being called my Lord? I know you have your Lord. Even the prosecutor, when he was giving, he quoted the Bible itself. He said, God, the one who is in charge of us,
is the only person with authority to kill.
But he also condemns acts as those, and even says those people are supposed to be wiped out. That is, they quoted even the Bible.
They quoted the Bible verse.
So technically, katibaja mwangu yako agende babumusalire mangu nenga wano, because the prosecution really made their case. But to me, I think death, killing somebody, in what I believe, it's not a punishment. We wake up one day and say,
because the other person will not feel the weight of the punishment.
So like you wake up and say you're punishing me by killing me, really, it's not really a punishment. You can only hurt the people who have been depending on me. But I think the best punishment, inconvenience someone with a life sentence, actually life in prison. Okay? So that someone lives, you cut them off the world. They just keep there, and they really suffer. And to me, I think that is a punishment. But really killing somebody, but at least it is a scarecrow to many of the people. Kanadala bano aba rituals. You come and kill somebody's son, somebody's daughter. Because of you want to get wealth and something like that. It is a warning to many
As
people.
you finalize your submission, what do you say about the case backlog that Raymond has just spoken about? Because we have seen an express judgment. I've lived in Uganda for 32 years now.
Under 30 years. Under a month.
I'm saying myself, I've lived in Uganda in 32 years now. I've not seen a judgment as express as this that we had for Okello, because it is a record time breaker. They are not giving the other cases, murder cases, time. Why do you think government has to do that?
You know the case backlog. Now the judge who was presiding over that case, this was a single case of Okello. But do you know how many capital offenses that judge is supposed to handle, for example? Now look at this case. It has taken about 30 days. And we were sitting every day, save for the weekends or something like that. So if this judge has about 50 cases to handle, how many sittings is she supposed to be present in a day to handle a case? Meanwhile, you have to summarize all the evidence. You know, it is a lot of work. And for backlog, if you are following that case, you realize the number of judges. That is quite very important. However, if they had not introduced issues of mediation, perhaps the backlog will even be worse. Just like when you get a headache, you decide to go to Mulago Hospital. Is that a place where you're supposed to go and get paracetamol or something like that? So it's like court. You go to court to report cases where we just have to sit, me and you, and we agree. But conclusively, my brother hinted about what of other capital offenses that are in the courts of law that are not being, that are not being worked on, just like how the one of Okello was. And I agree with you. There are quite a number of capital offenses which you believe justice should be served to the people. There is a lot of injustices. We have to agree with that in our court system. And this is one of the things that challenges the respect to human rights, challenges the respect to a fair hearing and a fair trial. Very many people are in the prisons simply because you don't have state attorneys. The judge, imagine the judge comes late, atena kugamba, I'm adjourned it to tomorrow. They also have personal lives. They are also human beings, okay? So I think the issue of the case backlog is still there, but not until the judiciary increases the number of judges and in terms of even facilitating them. That's really the only way to go.
Well, thank you all that are watching us online on Facebook and on YouTube. We are going for a short commercial break. We shall be right back. We're being powered by Maganjo Grain Millers, the makers of the wheat products, the best wheat products in Uganda and across the world. You are watching The Sense and Noise, hosted by myself, Hassan Mutunzi Wambale.
Mutima gwa Uganda mulimu ekimere ekyenjawulo era nga kijiddwamu omutindo ogusukkulumye. Engano ya Jiko nga ekolebwa ab'Amaganjo Grain Millers. Kola ebyokulya eby'omulembe nga okozesa Jiko.
YouTube and Facebook, also coming live very soon on TikTok. I'm having two distinguished gentlemen, Ivan and Raymond, and we are looking at the major stories that made up the week. Now, yesterday, the president of the country threw a banger. he released a missive. He said, "Etekali muliko siri nagawa. Please pass what I gave you." Did you read it?
Yeah. And I'll start from the quote. And he said, "Fellow Ugandans, especially the Bazukuru, habari, greetings to you all. Of recent, I've noticed a lot of rally, noise." I think he also talked about LC Africa because he made noise
Sense
about
and
it.
noise.
Yeah.
So the president is watching sense and noise. Continue.
Regarding the sovereignty bill, which sovereignty bill is the rally about? The one I initiated in the cabinet or another one? The bill will stop FID, that is foreign direct investments, support for religious bodies from abroad, remittances from Ugandans working abroad, etc. Really, that is not the bill I initiated. We were talking here last week with Kahawa, and I remember the last question that you asked all of us, and you said, "Can I pose a question to you as we conclude the show? Is the bill good or bad?" And Kahawa said, "To me, I feel like there need to be amendments made." Namakumbi said, "It's bad." Me, I said, those who are drafting the bill should think about the fact that at the end of the day, this bill will catch up with them when they're out of power. And you see now, before I even speak about all this right now, it has caught up with them. Reason being, even the Bank of Uganda...
No. First, Gendampola, it has not caught up with them. The president is saying what he gave them is not what they're presenting.
It has caught up with them because what they initiated in the bill was not what the president talked about.
So who initiated the bill that is being...
The makers of the bill, who we don't know, because even the Attorney General is just supposed to speak on behalf of government. So you don't know the drafters of the
Ideally,
bill.
it is being presented, it is being brought Parliament by the State Minister for Internal Affairs.
Are you sure about
General
that?
David Moyo.
Are you
Yes.
sure about that?
He's
Is he the one who drafted the clauses?
But in my interpretation from what the president wrote, so it shows you that there is a racket of mafias.
Thank you.
That's what...
Raymond,
that's what that
continue.
letter suggests.
Ivan will come in a bit later.
What this shows you is that as when the president says, the president of Uganda is directing the state controller to give Kahawa 100 million, there's someone who will go again in that letter and say, the president says we should give you 10 million. You understand? Because if the president can speak about that the bill was initiated in cabinet, whereby all the ministers were in cabinet and they knew about it, then why would again the Attorney General come to Parliament
And
in the
present
committee and
something
present
contrary.
something else, really? First of all, and we talked about this by the way, the fact that the whole population of Uganda came out on a standstill and said this bill is going to affect us, it showed that the noise was really being made. For you can say, there was unison on this bill from every Ugandan because it was affecting everyone. But also we have to understand this. When the president is initiating because he's a fountain of honor, who are those people that really are going against his word to do all this behind his back? Do you have another state in a state? Do you have other attorney generals? Do you have another president in a president? Because initially, it shows that the president is even losing trust in the people that he sits with to have a conversation with, and he says, "This is not the bill I initiated at first." So you don't understand. You get lost, and you're like, "What is becoming of our country?" Yeah, it's really demeaning. And
Now, if they do the amendments, would you be in support of the...
They did amendments actually, and they changed a bit of clauses and said, it will not affect FDIs, foreign direct investment. Because first of all, if you look at the letter that the World Bank put out on Tuesday, the World Bank said, we appreciate that the government of Uganda is protecting its sovereignty. And we do agree, because it's initially, even the US, they do the same. But you protecting the sovereignty should not derail the citizens of Uganda of their services. Reason being, the World Bank, we are still developing countries. The World Bank is giving money to developing countries to develop in regards as loans, and you pay back in long time. If they're giving out a loan, and the loan is coming in a big chunk of money, 1 trillion to work on roads, because I understand right now there's a project of USMID which is coming in OPM to work on other roads from the World Bank. If I have to go again to the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the minister itself to ask for permission to bring in every 400 million, the project will not go anywhere.
That's true.
Aside from that, look at this. If Kahawa, we even talked about it last week. Kahawa explained to us what it means to be a foreign agent. You understand? By this time, if I'm working with Kahawa and Kahawa is going to have a story in Kenya and lives with the camera person, UBC is regarding Kahawa as a foreign agent, and any content that he sends from Kenya to Uganda can be regarded as content that is going to harm the country. Why am I saying that? When the president was speaking about in his letter, he said, I am protecting the sovereignty of Uganda in regards to tribes, what we have as a country, I'm talking about borders, our cultures, understand? So it's protecting Uganda as a country whereby if someone comes up one day and claims and says, I am the one who brought the Catholic religion in Uganda, they'll say no. It is for Ugandans. And you have the Archbishop of Kampala to speak about that. So you look at the bill itself and you look at what the president was looking at, and it's totally different. The president was looking at the country itself, not even looking at the finances, even the political side of it. But people who are initiating the bill right now are looking at something else.
So the president has directed Honorable Hamson Oboa
And the Attorney General.
And the Attorney General to coordinate those changes. Isn't the president directly directing Parliament what it should do?
And besides,
separation of power.
Before Kahawa comes in, by the way, Kahawa, we shall come back here at a later point. Even when they do amendments in this bill and they send it to the president, he will not sign it.
Absolutely.
You can start.
Absolutely. That one I agree with you. Because when you even look at the amendments, one, they removed the issue of Ivan Kawa being called a foreigner under the previous draft. But now in the amendment, they are saying now we have removed that, you still remain a Ugandan. Then, so, kati then nechiralane bagamba that this issue of bringing in the money for development, for example, it will only be questioned on suspicion. That it's not doing what it is intended to do. So when you even look at the amendments, I personally, I was pushing for the amendments of this bill so that it can augur well with the citizen. But even the amendments are still vague and complicated. For example, true, we need a sovereignty law in this country, but the sovereignty that we need, it is supposed to define what national interest is, what foreign interest is. So that if Ivan Kawa, I am going to deal with the funds, I know which crimes I might commit in the process, okay? Laws are supposed to be very clear to the people they superintend over. And that is what I really believe in. So they didn't talk much about the punishments, for example, which are very, very unrealistic, okay? It is still dangerous, but amending that now it is okay for the journalists, it is okay. I remember my colleague here, Namakumbi, was worried about the journalists who are supported to do investigations with that large sums of
Actually,
money.
Josephine was saying that this law is after political parties.
Yeah, everybody has their own, but for me the substance I was discussing, do you need that law? And my stand was, we need it. But what do we need in that law? So there are very many things that are in that bill that are not supposed to feature in the sovereignty bill. The sovereignty bill has things that it's supposed to touch on. For example, that law should be more tough on people like foreigners. But now, to shock you, yesterday I was with the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Lieutenant General Joseph Musanyuf. They were launching an interministerial committee, the Internal Affairs. That committee is going to sit at Internal Affairs. Now, you have the sovereignty bill that wants to introduce a Department of Peace and Security. Yesterday, they launched the interministerial committee that is going to register all foreigners and in this country and nationals. Before, you had to go to NIRA, you had to go to the Ministry of Gender, you had to go to where and where, but now they are going to have a central operational point, and that committee is going to sit at the Internal Affairs. So meaning any information that you need regarding the statistics of anybody in this country, the marriage, data entirely of refugees, foreigners, and nationals, you will now get it at the Ministry of Internal Affairs, okay? Now, all these things are happening at the sidelines, so people are concentrating on the sovereignty bill. But there are many other committees and whatevers that are being introduced in those same areas. So when we are looking at the thing, we have to have a double lens, okay? But at now, even the amendments, amendments zenda bezwe,
tizigenda kola. The president is going to bring back that bill. And the disadvantage is it might be passed as an act of parliament. Osegera, that is the danger of it. So even when he brings it, because I think he can only bring it back 3 times. After that, then parliament can pass it as an act of parliament.
Don't be surprised if that bill goes into the bin after like an act of parliament and goes to the bin like the Computer and Misuse Act.
Absolutely. You know, but anyway, the good thing, they will create some work for the Constitutional Court at one point. But it's all a wastage of taxpayers' money. If you know the law is bad and it's going to call for for being challenged in the Constitutional Court, that means it's money. We are going to start spending money to argue. You know, you have had the Uganda Law Society. ULS has come to the committee. It has presented to you the legal aspect. You have, you see, the people who appeared in that committee, now like the Bank of Uganda governor.
I was going to speak about that.
The Bank of Uganda governor was speaking technically to the bill, not politically. You see, these are the things we need to put our attention to. You have the politicians, the stakeholders, ndaba they are more of in social concepts biki muno mugenda tukola tuti ate fa abasiramu bompa sente za PDM nze nembaga ate mulunda mbizi zitage, you know, those are more social concepts. But when you look at the technical, now the Bank of Uganda governor, the Uganda Law Society, you know, you have the universities that were talking of research. But these are technical people dealing technically with the bill, not politically. Now, whoever is talking about the targeting of political people, except for the NUP, he really made a very good presentation. But however, as the opposition, they had to bring it out. Because in the real sense, in their lens, the people who have suffered a lot of pressure from the government, they have a right to relate the sovereignty bill to the national unity platform. And I agree with them. But you realize, other than the political aspect, there are very many bodies that actually hold the economy of this country that were affected just compared to the political party as NUP. Now,
Ivan, as you conclude your submission, there's a comment here from Nkambo Robin saying that he's happy that today Ivan agrees that the law is bad.
No, I'm not. You see, I want you to quote me very well. I am not agreeing with anybody, and it is not a law. It is just at the bill stage.
Yeah, they're saying the bill.
It is just a draft.
For me, I've told you, you need the sovereignty law in the country. You need it because there is no anywhere you're going to read when they're defining to you, even sovereignty itself. Is it defined in the Constitution? It is not, but it is explained. You know, power belongs to the people.
Now, pause a bit there. Dr. Miriam Matembe, when she was being called to the committee to give her own perspective, she said that Uganda is no longer sovereign, that we have a lot of debts, that the budget is almost sponsored by foreigners, that we have Christian names that were brought by foreigners, that we are not sovereign in reality.
You see,
so she was saying that the bill is as bad as...
You see,
what can I say?
I understand there are people who are heartbroken in this country. But when you're speaking about certain things, you have to be extra careful. Now, those are the people who look up to. So
Matembe was heartbroken?
Apparently, maybe she's heartbroken. You see, sovereignty and independence, these are different things. You see, when you're talking of sovereignty, sovereignty is that you're in charge of your country. You decide how to defend your country. You have an external invasion. You have to exercise your authority as a country. That's what sovereignty can mean. Then you have the issue of independence, where you now not part of the colonial influence and something like that. So these things are technically different. So anybody who comes out to say that we are not sovereign is wrong. The word may be that is supposed to be used, that Uganda is a sovereign state. Uganda is an independent state. But Uganda is a dependent state. So we have to be very clear. We are dependent, it's true, because external funding supersedes the internal funding of this country. So meaning still, as a country, we are dependent, but we dictate how you are supposed to use your money. Send a US data. Uganda dictates and puts conditions on how that money should be spent in the country. Now, That is exercising sovereignty, exercising independence.
So,
But while you are dependent.
Raymond, when you saw the letter by the man with the hat, what came to your mind? Because
Ask
he
myself.
said we are in Olwari.
Ask
We are making noise
One question that really
over
came,
the bill.
One question that really came to my understanding is one. You know, every time they bring a bill in Parliament, they produce a financial certificate. The Minister of Finance gives a financial implication to government. If the Bank of Uganda is coming on the floor of Parliament and presenting a report and saying if you go ahead with this bill, it's going to affect us in regards to the money coming in, the money flows, and also the fact that the GDP of the country is still very minimal, and you need to have in more inflows of the dollars so that the economy can prosper. You ask yourself, so what is the PSST doing at finance? Because you're supposed to be working in tandem with the Governor Bank of Uganda.
Economics that works.
You understand? So that means the president is in his own house, the PS is this side, then the Bank of Governor is this side. So everyone is saying, you know what, when it comes to my side, I'll come and speak about it. So it doesn't make sense. Like, because they say it's supposed to be a government in charge, you work hand in hand.
With
But
that
here-
basis, why the rush? Because Parliament, I think next week is going to be dissolved.
Yeah.
They're going to
And funny how they say that they're going to bring the bill for the third and
now
fourth.
for the second and,
And
third reading.
next
Now
week
I'm
on Thursday.
asking as a person in the fourth estate, why the rush?
No, they'll go ahead and pass it, but I can tell you for a fact, the president will not assent to it. He will not.
Ivan, why the rush?
And it might even die, by the way, this parliament which is going to get done.
Why the
in a
rush?
few weeks from
Because-
now.
Maybe the rush to be registered as an achievement before before the current government is dissolved. To
Yeah, but
register it as an achievement that we passed this bill before we ushered in the new government. Probably that could be the issue. But there are always implications of rushing certain bills on the floor of Parliament.
So,
And they are proved to
Kawa,
be
sorry to cut you short.
detrimental, yes.
Kahawa, I think Kahawa has covered news before me. Kahawa, there are bills that have been brought into Parliament and have been drafted. For example, let us look at the alcohol bill that was brought by Namboze and Saropendi. Each member of Parliament at least had something to say about that bill because it was talking about how to change the hours of buying
Yeah,
alcohol,
even the
who
time
is a
of drinking
minor, the
it,
time of drinking, which type of brands are supposed to be on the market, the content, even the Kasese brands, they call Kasese brands in quotes that are really strong. On this bill of the sovereignty, I can tell you for a fact, not more than half of that parliament understands the bill that are going to pass.
Well, as we go to the other topical discussion, we are having a comment from Campbell Robin again. He's saying all stakeholders discussed the bill according to their lenses. A religious leader can't look at it as an economist does, so I respect all submissions made to the committee other than Sivambi's. Keep the comments flowing in. I thank you all that are watching Sense and Noise. Now, there is another thing that happened. Last week on the floor of Parliament, Bahati makes a statement that government has suspended trade orders. On Monday, cabinet sits and says, Bahati, you are out of order. We have never asked you to make such a statement, and it was reversed. As a person who has been following the politics of this country, what does that mean?
Kahawa, I don't know if it will be me or you that will need to press the reset button for Uganda.
Why?
Because things are going AWOL.
Uganda tachafuge.
Because, okay, all of us know. Because imagine, Kahawa, we do that story for TV. And TV works in this way, if you didn't know, Bambale. TV works with picture. What you see is what you write. Imagine, forgive that journalist who did that story, or even feel sorry for that journalist who did that story whereby he was
Trade order
quoting,
suspended.
he was quoting Bahati. And afterwards he goes to the newsroom and
It was actually on the front page of Monitor.
Trade
order suspended.
And the editor is asking, are you sure about this? It's a very good story. Let us go with it. After one day, because he made the comments over the weekend, after a few days, the cabinet sits on Monday and says that was wrong. What will happen to that report? He will never be trusted again.
But he was quoting the source.
Yeah, but he will never be trusted again because, you see, first of all, the source you're quoting, and Kao even talked about it last week, not all of the ministers that we see that drive these lead cars sit in cabinet. Yes, he's the Minister for Trade, but does it sit in cabinet? Because I understand
State
also,
Minister for Trade, actually.
But also I understand also that the president is very pivotal about people who are supposed to speak in cabinet. Not everyone speaks. So why did Bahati get the power to speak about
And
it?
you have the official spokesperson. who
And
sits
even
at the
besides that,
ministry.
besides that, you're the Minister for Trade. There is a docket called local government. So you're speaking as who? Bahati. Did you consult the Minister of Local Government about what you're going to speak to the media?
Well, where does this leave Bahati now?
Let us pray for him. First of all, he lost his seat as MP. And then now, because...
Well, he lost as the NRM chairperson for his district.
And also he lost a seat as
He
MP.
lost in the primaries. He lost as the member of parliament.
As independent.
He's now sitting on the Lubalaza after being told, who asked you to speak?
But yes, Bahati can come back as minister because none of us knows our fate. Even if you wake up in the morning, you cannot know where you're going to be. You can wake up in the morning and you know that you're in Kasese before you know it. Bahati can come back as a minister. But this is a caution to all people who are holding power and they say they're ministers. Before you speak to the reporter, to the writer, think about the statement you're going to make. I always see ministers before they make a statement at the media center. Honorable Minister, is it you're going to arrest Kyagulanyi when he lands at the airport? Okay, let me answer that. You see someone going on the phone, calling someone and say, what can I speak about this? Then they come back and say, about Kyagulanyi, I will not speak about it. The authorities in charge, that is security, will speak about it.
That would make sense.
Thank you so much. In the means of trade, yes, you know that you're dealing into licenses and money for the country, but there's a docket called local government. Let Magesi speak about that.
Well, besides the David Bahati saga, we shall come back now to the real trade order. I want you to have a comment about the Bahati U-turn.
I think the communication in government is running frail. Everyone wants to show that they are working, which is a very big problem. That's why you have ministries having spokespersons, even in... do you know, there is a time I saw the public relations officer for the Ministry of Lands for the first time, one time back. When Honorable Nabakoba had come to brief at the media center, she was called. She was like, our PRO speaker was like, hey, Regional Ministry of Lands are in our PRO.
Yeah.
So these PRO people are there in ministries. But, you know, sometimes they can do really a very good job. But the problem is much more bigger. You remember the Minister of State for Education went to Gaba and ordered for the closure of the institution. No one was...
And the childhood one.
Then Honorable Balam came and said, no. That's not the stand of government.
And then Moriko comes back to the media set and says, no more childhood.
Now, what does that show you? Everyone is campaigning to show that mzee tukola,
I'm working.
and it's landing people in trouble. But to talk about the ministers who are beaten in the primaries, then they just went off the NRM ideologies. Nebaja independent, that is misbehaving. You know, with NRM, the way NRM has been working, once you misbehave, your chances of appearing on that list of ministers, ended. So the people who might be safe, those who are beaten in the primaries, they conceded, they remained serving the government. But those ministers who were hammered in the primaries, then they came as independents.
Then they're making very...
Then they are going to dissolve cabinet. Nze wembagwe, sigenda na kumukoro. Sigara waka, ninda ndabe if I am on the list or not. But regarding the trade order, it is really disturbing. That, you see, government is in charge of everybody in this country. If I woke up one day and LC Africa, I start operating at the roadside, there is a reason as to why I am operating at the roadside. Okay? Now, and sometimes government even keeps quiet when this order is being mounted. They only come up when they want to implement a certain policy. But to me, I think the government should start having conversations with people, whether they're in the wrong or not. Because these might not really be hardcore criminals. Someone has a sale of mobile money on the roadside, then you just come and take it out. You know, I think we need to have a honest conversation with these people, find a plan B for the people who are going to become a problem in this country. This trade order, Bogenda ku police, for example, since the enforcement, you realize how the crime rate has increased. Omanyi buli lunaku, olaba they are arresting people. They have put people, they have dismantled the businesses of some of the people who have been surviving. And right now they are surviving on the people who have featured on LC Africa from the show. Bakulinze wali kuchibloka, bakube peva. Because bali batunda busawa bwabo bw'enkumi bbiri esatu ennya ne babutwala, and to go and claim your merchandise in court, City Hall, if you go and look at how much money you have to pay,
Ivan, in that line, do you support the government to effect trade order?
It is not about supporting or not supporting. What we need to understand that development is good. But at what point do we go wrong? First interrogate, how did these people come to operate in the areas where they're operating from? Or in our LOC, or in our others, for example, downtown. You have that Namirembe police station, you have Blue Room, you have the other one as you're going to Chikobo, then you have the other one as you're entering Owido. Those are four.
But I think that order has brought sanity downtown. Have you been there?
For you are looking at it as sanity, how long have you gone there? Or mazebanga chenga togena mchibuga kusubula?
No, me am si musubu.
Anti kati aha. Kati chenguga.
So gwange njagala nempita ku street nga teri ankona ko teri akwata munsawo. And government is doing its work.
Fine. Ogamba trade order. But look at that stretch from Buckley up to Energy Center. A stretch, it has a non-motorized transport corridor.
True.
Trade order, fine, it has been put there. Njagala ombuli owakagali asobola ovugira kuleni nga n'obugali babukubako. You cannot. Aba border. Actually, there is this organization, I can walk. You can't walk freely. Ojagene wa border akukone. So when you're looking at trade order, for example, in the city, the trade order shouldn't look at people who are earning a living from selling small, small products, all these small-scale businesses. But trade order should go as far as organizing even the transport sector. So, muchibuga muno, transport itself, it is trade disorder in its own way.
Raymond, have you been to downtown, and how do you appreciate the efforts of government trying to bring order to the city and also other municipalities?
Let's not in the entire country. Let's not use Kampala. We find the city.
It started here and then it went to other cities. But what I can tell you that in Kasese, the trade order has been implemented and the people are...
Should use Kasese as the answer of everything?
Kasese, we enforce which trade order?
Have you spoken to the town clerk for Kasese?
My brother, which trade order are you enforcing in Kasese?
The people have left the streets.
There's no one on the streets of Kasese. If you told me Mbari, or Lira, or Gulu, or Basaka, Arua, Koboko, I would agree with you.
But Kasese, let us get back to the question that I've just posed to you.
Trade order is really needed in a country like Uganda, which is developing. Reason being, it one or another, it helps government understand its revenue it's earning from people. Because remember, by the time you push me off the street, the option you're giving me is going to a market or a shop. That means I have to get a license. That means I have to pay taxes. Even though all of us are paying taxes indirectly, but that is more visible that I can tell you, you own business, so you have to pay me this much money per month. And you're also going to trade. Another thing also is that trade order is being enforced at a time whereby government has done little on its part to help the people who are being chased off the streets to have an avenue where they can land. There are no markets all over the country. Aside from markets, you see, also like what Kara talked about, before you chase someone, I believe in dialogue in everything. Talk to me. Because you see, Bambale, the people who we're talking about who are being chased off the street have capital of 30K, of 25,000. Yes, I agree. Trade order is very good. That you can walk downtown, you're going to buy something from Chikubo. It takes you 5 minutes. Before it was taking you 30 minutes or even 45 minutes, which is very okay. But where are these people going to go right now? The issue right now...
To the markets that the government
which markets are there? Which markets are there? Point in case, there's a market at Busega. Someone can tell you, if you go beyond the first and second floor, the upper floors don't work.
But you know that people had left the market and went to the streets of Busega?
Yes, they did.
Just a point of information.
You're informing him or me?
All of you.
Or the viewers?
Oh, no, mugatirako kuiye, kwa information. Unfortunately, I can't rule you out of order because you're the host. You see, the location of the markets in the central business district is contributing towards people not going to those markets.
Yeah.
Njagala mbuli oba ogenda mu Kampala. Can you skip Owino and Nakasero? Nogenda ku Usafi. Oina taxi park, a new taxi park and old taxi park wezidi. Can you go to Usafi to transact? When you look at the location, like Wandegeya Market, Bogenda Wandegeya Market, first of all, ononyane woyita to access the market, it is a hurdle. Bazimbe Arcade, it's like a corridor. Now, when it comes to the planning and where strategically putting these markets, it does not support business sense to these people who are operating. That's why someone will move from Usafi, because the motoka nyingi ziri mu new taxi park. So they need to reconsider and look at how these markets are operating. Look at Kasubi Market here. People are very disorganized. First of all, you are knocking people. Tewali was a zebra crossing, tewali hampu, there is no flyover, and people are being knocked. But what are markets? And people are transacting each and every time. So the strategic locations of these markets in one or the other are contributing to that trade disorder. Muchikubo boyingirawo, olaba order, bobo yingide muchikubo. But those guys, they transact about 5 billion on a day. Bobo yingide kuba bona echikubo, it's a walkthrough. What one is the banks? Gwejagala mbulire abo bona abakolera awo wabwero. Bakolera oligale. Kuba maduka gali munda. When
were you last in Chikubo? Because I saw all those things were flashed out.
My brother.
It's now the shops that are operating.
My brother, things on the ground are a little bit different. Kategoja ku government, baba jirawo ddala biki. People still come, bring their stuff, webala baba enforcement nga badduka. Ochageta nga bavaawo nga badduka. So it's really something
but also what I know about trade order is that like as enforcing trade in the city, what about the public? Are you enforcing it in regards to transport and how people regulate? Because I remember very well, government was up in arms, I think it was coming to the end of last year, about how borders needs to be operated. There's not supposed to be stages next to the bank, hospitals. They even had stages come up where we're right now. But I can tell you for a fact that there's a council that sat, I think 3 weeks back, that passed the public transport in the city, whereby buses are going to come. And I saw yesterday on X, whereby the ED of KCC is saying that they are going to have buses coming to the city, and they're starting with a sample of 8 buses that are going to be operating on renewable energy.
So they're chasing out taxis?
That's the plan initially, because by the side of the minister saying, Minister who Biabakama saying that taxis taxes that are in a bad state should leave the city. It means at the end of the day, I think they're doing it in a phased manner, but the phased manner they're doing it is affecting only one group at the point right now, only traders, and the other group is enjoying the city as it is. Have you ever stood at a stage where you see borders? Like, for example, Ginger Road, and there are and maybe the president is passing or even the minister is passing, and you look at the heads of border riders, you can even be surprised.
Well, we are getting feedback from our online viewers. Nkambo still says that a lot needs to be done to bring order in the city. Our government is just reactionary and lacks prior planning. They need to plan before enforcing. Like in Mukono district, we don't have any structured market, but people are being chased where now? No one knows. Well, we shall be right back from this commercial break. This show, Sense and Noise, is being powered by Maganjo Grain Millers.
Mu mutima gwa Uganda mulimu ekimera eky'enjawulo era nga kigiddwamu omutindo ogusukkulumye. Eŋŋano ya Jiko nga ekolebwa Abamaganjo Grain Millers. Kola ebyokulya eby'omulembe nga okozesa Jiko. Mu mutima gwa Uganda mulimu ekimera eky'enjawulo era nga kigiddwamu omutindo ogusukkulumye. Eŋŋano ya Jiko nga ekolebwa Abamaganjo Grain Millers. Kola ebyokulya eby'omulembe nga okozesa Jiko. mu mutima gwa Uganda mulimu ekimera eky'enjawulo era nga kijiddwamu omutindo ogusukkulumye eŋŋano ya Jiko nga
Those watching us from Uganda and abroad, we thank you to continue supporting and loving LC Africa. We are sending our regards to Dr. Benon Luja, the Managing Director of Maganjo Grain Millers. We understand from our different sources that he's going to be given a medal today at the Labor Day in Buikwe. And we shall be celebrating with them because they are our sponsors, Maganjo Grain Millers. These people are good at making products from the wheat, and they sell their products in Canada, UK. When you reach to a level of exporting your products to the UK,
okibaba okivuze
oba oli
okivuze baba sponsor taida nakupa
oba oli w'amaanyi. Kawa, have you tested Maganjo?
Yes, I have.
Which product have you tested?
Era nabugulanga naddala gundi bunga bakasole kanabugulanga ne mutabula omwana ne muwe ekijimusanga masaba.
So obunga bwa Maganjo mwanjawulo you testizeyo. So Raymond, have you tested the products?
Maganjo Grain Millers. Mr. who?
Mr. Elder Dr. Benon Luja.
Dr. Benon Luja, I humbly request you ebintu biweze kusaidia eno mbikozesa konti egerenge gye bikolamu ebyamaganjo kubanga omwana gwotwetedde ku show host ki akabikozesa dda sinabikozesa konze tomanya.
Well, as we come to the conclusion of this show, tugenda kubeera ne discussion about the dissolvement of cabinet that is happening on Monday. The ministers can no longer sign letters. They can no longer sign any instrument on behalf of government. Raymond, as a person who has been covering politics for a long time, what does this have to mean to you?
Let us start from the jets in the city yesterday.
You saw the jets flying?
Yeah. The birds were flying all over. I was at Mini Price, and they were flying all over. And then I had people saying, "Ajalayira abaga maputugena kabanja muri ludda wa mtu kabanje." Anyway, away from that. What I want to say here is this. At this point, yes, the only person who has the power and audacity to sign off any documentation, the president and the PS.
By the way, even the president cannot,
Okay,
after
because
dissolvement
right
of cabinet, the president also cannot sign serious documents as the president because his tenure is.
You could say that
also
right
coming
now
to
the PSs are the ones in charge of the ministries right now. The permanent secretaries are the ones in charge of the ministry. But even them, I don't think they can requisition any money to go out. Why am I saying this? The story about government giving 1.6 trillion to Day by Farmer. In cabinet and from a source, they sat and the president said, "I want you to give these guys this much money." And the cabinet said, "We don't have that much money." And the PS said, "I don't have that much money." But the president said, "I want you to give the Day by Farmer 1.6 trillion to go ahead with their work and finish." And then the PS said, I said, "Mr. President, I can tell you for a fact, I'll give them the money. But as earlier we talked about this, I don't have that money in this quarter." Meaning, even before government dissolves, even any financial expenditure right now is on hold until
the new government is formed.
Yeah, that means, that's why you see most times right now, even Kao can agree with me or disagree with me. People are saying, "Obwavu ngabunji."
Absolutely.
Everyone
is feeling that pinch.
Because there's no money inflow right now. You could say right now that government has taken leave. Of course, systems are working right now. Everything is working. But the people, because all of us know that in Africa, what brings in money is politics. You understand?
Yeah, that's true.
So the people who are holding offices are stepping aside. And you're going to be surprised, by the way. When the president is done swearing in as a president for another term, 7th term, now the money is going to come in when the MPs go to parliament to swear in as MPs. that's when you're going to see the money coming in. You understand? So them leaving cabinet right now and not working anything, it's a normal routine. It's a normal routine. It happens every day. And even besides that, we have felt it before, but we did not feel it because you're speaking about it, so we're giving it news. But it has been happening over again.
Yeah, it has been happening.
But right now, the issue is right now is one. There is a certain minister, or there are ministers right now. They're won as MPs, and they have been in front of the government, in front of the president everywhere they go. Government, President Museveni, you know, understand? They're looking at the president and saying, man, if you can appoint me for just 2.5 years, I'll be very okay. And then there are ministers who went into politics, went as MPs, lost, and now they're looking at also coming back in cabinet. You understand? And then also, there's a point in case, like our friend, of course, it's not good to speak about the people, but Nandutu, you leave the newsroom, you go into politics,
you become a minister,
you become an MP, you become a minister.
You steal the Mabati.
You don't steal. Allegedly.
What did she?
Allegedly.
No, it's not allegedly because she stole. It is on record.
She was interdicted.
Hey.
She's a convict.
Yeah, she's a convict.
She's a convict. Yes, she stole. So she stole.
You're making
she's
noise.
a convict.
We're making sense. So Bamusiba, but
all of Bamusiba.
Bamusiba ali mukomera. So as these ministers are looking so much into coming into cabinet, think about that. Is that right now? I can tell you for a fact. Kahawa has been coming to Serena a number of times, but I can tell you Kahawa has very few friends at Serena. Those that he meets in the field and those that he talks to when he comes to Serena. But Kahawa is one person. Even if you phone on the street and you said hi, he cannot feel sweet.
Yeah, that's true.
Bwambali, if you made a minister right now, I can tell you for a fact, you may not pick up my phone calls in the first 12 days.
That's what I say. Me.
What I'm trying to say is that as you are appointed as a minister...
You're saying that if they give me the ministerial position now...
Even ministers, they made you the PR of the Adventists in Uganda.
I started feeling sweet.
What am I saying is that at the end of the day, even as and when the president anoints you and pricks you from the big crowd and says you're a minister, be human enough and understand. At the end of the day, you're going to come back to the same population and ask for forgiveness or even to hear to you. Why am I saying this? As Nandutu was taken to jail, it is the media that gave her that amplified her voice and said, what about other people who are implicated?
Other ministers that stole the Mabati? That took, sorry.
Very, very unfortunate. And there are very many guys with There are very many there. You remember
have their files been closed?
The cooperatives, the investigation that was done on the cooperatives, and the DPP lost interest in the case. So, what we to know now, if the government that is coming in, how I pray for the ministers who will be appointed and they are serious. There are certain things we know Zukusa. You know now we are in the climax years of leadership of President Museveni. That one we need to agree. Now you need a breed that is going to try to streamline things the way they are supposed to be. Okay, and I hope if those who are appointed will have that spirit without technically fearing, to talk about certain things. You know, we have witnessed this government that is going to be dissolved. We have witnessed a lot of yes people, yes MPs, yes my lord, yes your excellency, yes his right honorable speaker, yes Mr. Sir, yes sir. There have really been very many. And we are losing it out politically. We are losing it out. You are looking at a lot of dependent politicians other than articulative politicians, and shockingly, many big brains that we looked up to, for example, in Parliament, are going to go out. Those who are checking Parliament without fear or favor. And once you take out those and you remain with the yes people, we are going to fight with a lot of sovereignty bills. That's why I'm saying, you Hassan as well, you are going to find yourself into politics, not because you want, but because you want to add on to your voice to change how you are being governed. And many journalists, by the way, don't get shocked that at one point, Ivan Kawa, I'm going to start coming up, though I'm a journalist, to speak about certain policies in this country.
Ivan, for the last 3 terms, there has been a notion of Taja Kulaira. Now, this time around, we have not heard the voices of Tajja Kulaira. Have the opposition political parties
You see.
conceded to defeat?
Why do you drink beer?
I don't.
What do you use?
I'm an Adventist, I do not.
So that means while you're sitting, you don't hear people speaking about it, but go downtown. Kawa, you can come in now.
anywa amazzi. You see, my brother, I grew up in Chisenyi, ghetto all my life, but the ghetto glad.
Youth.
Ghetto youth. And Kyagulanyi, apadde my role model ever since. Kuba Firebase yaberanga behind our P2 class at Nachivoble Primary School. So when I saw all the 7 years. So I've grown in the yardstick of the ghetto life. I understand it. But even the media and some of other services, I've traversed the entire country. There was a mu districts nga chenda munana when Suze when I'm operating. When you look at this issue of Tajja Kulaira and something like that, there are those many components are in urban setups, and certain notions migrate. Nti omuntu ava ne Kampala nagenda notion ye najitwala eggulu najitwala eno. But in reality, when you look at the prowess, you know, state is very different from government. Second, when you say Tajja Kulaira, ngogamba government, it is okay. Nebo ga Tajja Kulaira, ngogamba state. Fighter jets, zabadde ziyita waggulu.
Are they trying to intimidate them?
No, it is not
No, it's a
intimidation.
test drive.
For you, we, tukitegera nti it is a ritual. Every time when the head of state is going to be sworn in, batira nnyo okuyisaamu ezo ne surveillance choppers abamu bazirabye surveillance zitayitamu and something like that because it's a signal. They're actually preparing
A new government.
they are preparing not a new government, they're even preparing they are preparing operation.
Even when NRM is still in government, the other coming government is a new government. Not so.
Kati abatajja Kulaira wawuliddeko eyavuddeyo ne yeemulugunya ku nnyonyi ziflyinga mu space kuba n'agamba Tajja Kulaira tonaba lwaki. Now there are people kiringa abaana ewaka nti taata waavaawo baba tebasobola kwogera yadde babalaga amaanyi era kati kuba taata wa Nuupu yatawanyika but I'm using it in quotes nkozesa lulimi lweri kati mu kuvaawo kwe ng'olaba mwina balubongo ya Joel Senyo they are very good in terms of checking government and accountability.
But the head of the family is missing.
But in terms of going heads on with Jajja, they do not really have that capacity and pressure. So technically kati byonna babiraba balinze daddy akomewa mugambe hawo tabadde musajja yabuse ennyonyi wano ne bakola batyo and they report back to him. So I think these notions are just driven from, and I will quote from Norbert Mao, President General DP, when we were in Mbarara during the delegates conference. He said that Ugandans should not use Kampala alone as a yardstick to speak on behalf of all other districts in Uganda. Kampala is just a small component as well. So the politics here do not define the interests of the entire country.
Okay, now Raymond, we are preparing for the swearing in of the president. A new government has to be formed. Until now, Electoral Commission has never uploaded the results of the presidential election. What do you have to say about that?
And I quote, I'm not Electoral Commission. When Electoral Commission decides to post the results, well and good.
Just analyzing.
Which other question were you asking?
No, because there are concerns by the civil society and the opposition that how can they go to the swearing in when even the results for the elections have never been uploaded.
You're talking about the results. Have you talked about the people who are manning the election that have not been paid?
They haven't been paid yet?
Yes.
Wow.
Even Gawa even knows about it because I even did a story on UBC.
Wow.
Yeah. So aside from the results, what about Omuntu Wawansi who was part of the election? Yakugamba teka ne kigalo kyo of ne inki kulaga nti omaze okulonda.
Well, as journalists, what do you foresee? A new government is going to be formed. He has just said that we are nearing the end of the leadership of Yoweri Kaguta, who is in his advanced age, and we are entering into a transition. What do you hope? What do you see as the information of government? Are we going to see new faces? Are we going to see the
True, we are going to see some new faces.
Young,
and even,
actually.
And even there are old faces that are going to return back. You know, what I've witnessed, that the president always wants to work with people who have constituencies. Those ones, at least many of them, will be in the coming government. Yeah, when you double both, rather than having someone as a minister and you don't have a constituency and something like that. So there are those even youngsters that will come in, because you know the influence now also comes from the Patriotic League of Uganda as well. It also has a, you know, in the way they have been doing things, they contribute towards the framework now of this government, and we are more likely to as well, you know, see that kind of thing. But for whoever will be appointed the minister in charge of ICT and national guidance, incoming, whether they retain the incumbent, it is okay. As journalists, as members of the press, we are calling for the operationalization of the National Institute of Journalists in Uganda. This institute will operate like the LDC, where every journalist who is holding a camera in this country is certified to do that work. We have journalists who are not attached to media houses, like me, who is attached to UBC. There are those who have studied journalism, but they do not work with any media house. Those people need to be given practicing certificates. Without that, journalists will always complain with remuneration. That's why we cannot even make a case, simply because our profession is very, very disorganized. That is my plea, and it's the only thing as of now, professionally, that I would request from the coming government. And even if the president watches this clip, whether it is shared on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, Mr. President, you should support the Ministry of ICT to operationalize that.
And the president watches
you
LC
can
Africa
create
right now.
safeguards for the journalism profession. The profession has been infiltrated by masqueraders. It has been infiltrated by each and everyone who is having phones. Though we are promoting technology access, journalism needs to be protected just like any other profession, and especially when we are looking at the AI becoming a very big issue.
Raymond, the company you work for, Monitor.
No, Nation Media Group.
Nation Media Group.
Yes.
So specifically Monitor.
No.
No, he was saying specifically Monitor
The
brought a
brand,
story.
the brand of Monitor, yes.
Monitor
And
brought a
Raymond
story.
Raymond should be a very good friend to Muzei, because every time I see Muzei, he's having a daily monitor in his hands.
So what are you saying is before the formation of this very government, Monitor ran a story, a formation of the leaked cabinet.
The other one that influenced
Is
this
NMD
guy.
still on the ground to also leak a list before the official one is released?
That's a very tough question.
It is-
It's a very tough question.
Well, thank you all that.
No, but what I can say is this.
Charitable.
And I quote the opposition here, I quote Chagurani. Once you're elected as a leader, you're going to serve people. You have a position you hold, LC1, LC3, councillor, MP, minister. Serve the people, don't serve your interests. Reason being is this: you have a lead car today, and there's a lead car that is paving for you the way, there's a cab behind you. In a few months' time, you're going to lose that convoy.
Absolutely.
And you come back to the population that you were neglecting. And they will tell you, munnaye wali minister tewatukolako walowoozanga nti okuzimba ekikomera ekiwanvu biki. Reason being, why I'm saying this is one, is that we've seen people who have been dropped by the president from cabinet, and they run back to him to facilitate them in case they have medical bills to pay. Why is that? Why don't you work for the people, in that the population will save you at a later point and say, that man was a very good man, no matter his party was supporting, but I know he did good for the country. Why am I saying this? The death of Nachimuri showed us that in Kalangala, there is no political party, so long as you work for the people. Katumba Ama stood in the floor of the parliament and said, Nachimuri has been our daughter. We sat down with her and asked her, do you want to go and join politics? She says, yes, I want to go and do politics. And then we told her, as Kalangala, this is what we want. And she delivered. So that means, at the end of the day, all of us have political linings. We support Kyagulanyi, support President Museveni, or even Mugisha Muntu. But work for the people at the end of the day. The people who trust you with those offices and power, work for them, because they remember you.
Can I assume that those are your parting shots?
Now, I can also say that my parting shot should be that the owner of Maganjo should send a package to Raymond Damari one of the days, so that we can see how the product works.
Okay, Ivan, as we close up this morning episode, what do you have to say? Your parting shots.
Ivan Kawa reports. Just genda wali kubajita Google, oba Chrome, oba Mozilla. Just take Ivan Kawa. Whatever you see there, you will thank me later.
Okay, thank you all those that have been watching us on Facebook and YouTube. I can put a disclaimer that all the views that have been aired on this program are solely not the views of LC Africa. And LC Africa is being regulated and moderated by Uganda Communications Commission. We received our agreement yesterday, and now we are being regulated by
Utuletera kodi idi. Tuagala tutuleko kone wano mu hot seat. Tusoke tuogere mu kone.
Just minister.
Anytime now. Anyway, our show will be happening every Friday, Sense and Noise. Alongside these gentlemen, distinguished gentlemen and seasoned journalists. Until next time, I remain Hassan Mutunzi Mwambale. May God bless you.
Mu mutima gwa Uganda mulimu ekimere ekyenjawulo era nga kijiddwamu omutindo mu mutima gwa Uganda mulimu ekimere ekyenjawulo era nga kijiddwamu omutindo ogusukkulumye. Eŋŋano ya Jiko nga ekolebwa ab'amaganjo Grain Millers. Kola ebyokulya eby'omulembe nga okozesa Jiko, owomerwe ne